Let me see if I can show you the book now. But go on.
Okay, we have a sister. She raised her hand. I don't know whether she wants to contribute. Hold on one
Assalamu
second.
alaikum.
Wa
Wa
alaikum
alaikum
salam.
salam. Amina bin Sharif. Fadal.
Assalamu alaikum. I just have kind of, I just wanted to give an opinion. As we,
Okay.
this talk is mixed between sisters and brother, I'm just gonna give,
Can you guys see this? Sorry to
can you
sister.
hear
This is
me?
yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear. This is the book I'm saying. Everyone,
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
that's the book.
So
Yeah, go
as
on.
this talk, we have sisters and brother. I can probably say
Yes.
something. The way women here brother sending a message, sometimes we feel attacked. So I was wondering if it would be more practical and easy when you have talk like that, if you also have sister host, so they can also give their opinion, because it seems to me sometimes it seems like brothers describe us as these women who are aggressive, no appreciating, or see, the other husband is better than mine. But actually it's not like that. We just want simple things and wanted to be listened for. So maybe having a sister host would be good for the brothers, so they can hear from a female voice, and a sister hear the advice of a husband from a male voice. That's all. Assalamu
Well,
alaikum.
yeah. So, sister, and what you just said there, like I said, is a very good point about delivery. Basically, that's what you're saying. You're talking about delivery. How can you deliver the message in a manner
Yes.
which people accept it? And that's why I mentioned the book about from Laura Doyle, because she's a woman, and she
Actually,
speaks
there
from
is
a
another
female.
book as well. Then it's similar to that, which is Men for March and Women for Venus, and teach
Yeah, I've heard about
women
that one.
how
I
to
haven't read it, but I have
communicate.
heard of it. Yeah.
That's exactly the same book. It teach women how to communicate to the men, and men to women, because we do deliver the message in different way, and we understand it different. And one of the messages the brother keeps saying is disobedience. If you keep saying to a sister, you need to your wife, you need to be obedient. Wallahi, wife will think like, you want to control me, beat me, put me in a corner. But that is not probably what the husband is trying to say. The husband is trying to say, please listen, I'm advising you, I'm the head of the family, I'm the leader, please take something from me, or use any other words. This word obedient will not work with no wife. So it's just the delivery of the message. That's probably what I'm trying to
Yes.
say.
Also,
Yes.
what you mentioned is about the issue of obedience. There is very important, because I guess the question is obedience in what? I mean, for example, I find it counterproductive to tell my wife to do something that she knows more about than I do. So, you know what I mean? If my wife does the shopping and she knows what she's cooking, and I say, no, why did you buy this one instead? I may make it as a suggestion, and she might say, no, I reckon it's a better idea. I'm like, okay, cool. You know best, man. I mean, as long as when it comes to my thing that I know better about, they accept my call or my what I say. As long as something you know more about than me, then by all means. So I mean, it's about taking from each other, also recognizing each person's skills
Definitely.
what they benefit, what they're good at, and learning from each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was wondering if this obedient word is in any hadith, because it's always there,
Yes,
and
nushuz.
also,
The word is
so
nushuz. It's in the Quran. Allah mentioned,
okay,
if you
okay.
fear from your wife nushuza, and nushuz is basically that being rancor, being disobedient. So the issue of being of the you know sister, it's like
Sorry.
this. I said, you know what it is? It's like this. When it comes to the husband and wife relationship, it's exactly this. I always like to tell people that it's not this. It's no different than any relationship of authority and those under the authority. So it would be the same
Okay.
between a wife and a child. It would be the same to a child and their parent. It would be the same with regards to you and the police, or regards to the you and the government. Any person who's under someone else's authority, it's pretty much the same kind of behavior. I mean, you don't go to your boss and telling your boss and tell him how to run his business. You speak to your boss in a manner which respects his authority, but also in
Correct.
a manner which gives him advice that he will take. So it's just the same kind of thing. I mean, people sometimes think that when it comes to a marriage, it's somehow different. It's not different. It's the same dynamic that you find between husband and wife, parent and child, or any kind of authority. Like I said to Ismail earlier on, it's interesting how we are so patient with our parents when our parents might do things that we really disagree with, but yet we don't have that. We don't extend that same patience and understanding to those who we see more often, i.e., our spouses. Those who is really important to massage and massage that or to say lubricate that friction between the two. We don't seem to extend that same kind of friction. So I would say, for example, any sister who feels, who wants to understand what does it mean to be an obedient wife, what does it mean to be a respectful wife, I would say speak to your husband pretty much the same way and respect as way you speak to your dad.
See, for example, you just said a respectful sister, respectful wife. Yet respect at time needs to be earned, because you see, I can be married with a husband who does not respect me, who insult me. Should I still have to respect the husband? Marriage is between a husband and wife, and also is a constitution within Sharia law. So there are rule and regulation within the marriage. Brother and sister as well, they have to be respectful to each other within the marriage. I don't have to obey my husband. I need to do everything my husband want me to do for the reward for Allah. I obey the command of Allah, no doubt, black and white, but obedient to my wife, sorry, to my husband. I'm going to do everything to my husband because the reward is greater than being obedient. Just, can you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I
Yes.
do understand it, but I have to say I do strongly disagree. And
Okay.
there's just in one avenue or one aspect, and that is this is actually a discussion I had with one sister just the other day. She called me about her parents, about her dad specifically, actually. And it was kind of, she was kind of saying a similar thing to what you're saying. She was saying that her dad growing up wasn't very great, and she wanted to know how she should behave with him now that she's older because blah blah blah. And I just said to her, look, sister, no matter how bad your dad has been to you, he's still your dad, and the respect you have to give to him is not something he has to earn. That's something he deserves. And that is the same thing in regards to you, sister, with your child. If your child came, if I ever heard your child raise his voice to you in front of me, I'll be the first one to tell him, who you speaking to? That's your mum. It doesn't matter how you treat your son. He's still your son or your daughter, and you still deserve the respect that a mother deserves from her child. And
Yeah, but isn't
likewise, a
that
husband.
different? Because a child is being given to me, you know, I had the child because Allah wanted me to have a child. So that is something. My child is what's that word again? Is my responsibility, because it's, I forgot that word. When you get married, it's a choice. You get married, inshallah, and you choose that person. So whatever happened to a marriage happened. When you have a child, it's different. That is your responsibility, and for you to look after, because Allah gave it to you. Isn't it a difference?
No. So what it
Um,
is, it's the same kind of thing as, like I said, the same thing. Like I said, I'll just repeat what I said before. It's the
yeah.
same kind of thing you have with even your boss. No one, for example, I remember I met someone, well, not someone, as a family member, and they were saying that they they told their boss, they swore at their boss basically. Their boss said something and they swore at their boss and had to go at him. I'm like, are
Mm.
you serious? That's your boss. How you speak to your boss like that? I mean, he could just fire you at the end of the day. I mean, they're paying your wages and they gave you a job. I mean, yeah, you disagree, but at the same time, he's your boss. Maybe your boss is wrong, but at the same time, he's your boss. There is that level of respect that you must have for your boss because he's your boss. And if you don't like it, then hand in your resignation, end that contract, and then cuss him off. But until that
Mm.
moment, he still deserves that respect. So same thing with your husband. Um, if a woman decides to get married to a husband, she acknowledges that from that contract, she's going to give him that respect. She's going to give him that
Correct.
honor as part of the marriage. And we see that in the Quran. For example, it mentions in the Quran that if a husband sees from his wife in the shoes, then Allah gave him the certain steps. And we don't find the same thing in reverse. Actually, we find if the husband's misbehaving, we find the complete opposite. That a woman, we find in the Sharia that if a woman's husband is being misbehaving, that
Mm.
she can let go of some of her rights to negotiate. And again, it's the exact same thing with any authority. If you're, for example, at the airport, customs, and the guy's pulled you over your passports away from where you're going, who you use, rummaging for your luggage, he has full right to put you in jail. He has been given powers by the government to put you in jail, to give you hassle, just because. No reason other than just because. So are you gonna say to him, "This is out of order. I want to fight you. Who you think you are?" Or you say, "Look, I'm sorry, sir. Please forgive me. How can I help?" You give him the honor and respect you want until you pass those gates, and then you cuss him. But I'm saying you have to address every scenario with the situation that you're in, with the powers that have been given to you.
Yeah.
And again, the same thing about the Messenger of Allah. Last time we mentioned about if the ruler of your country is misbehaving, take him by the hand, give him advice privately. If he listens to you, then great. And if not, you've done what you're supposed to done. There's no mention in Islam about revolting against the ruler, taking up arms against the ruler, cussing him publicly. None of that stuff exists because, again, that's disrespecting the honor that Allah has given, or the respect that Allah has given those in authority. Does that make sense, sister?
Yes. I'm listening. Yes.
So I'm saying that, yeah, I understand that some husbands may deserve and require a good shouting at, but it's
No,
not
I don't
necessarily
believe
you.
in that either because
Not,
it's
not you,
different
not
from
you specifically. I'm just saying that generally speaking, a husband may deserve even a slap. But the question is, who's doing the slapping? So, for example, imagine a wife is in a situation where her husband's really being abusive and is not respecting her and is speaking bad against her. What could she do? Well, she could speak to someone who he does respect as an equal and let that person sort him out, or go to his parents and say, look, your son is not being too well, is not helping me, or go to the sheikh or the local imam. There are things that she can do, but as for trying to take it upon herself, she, like I said, the best advice I give to sisters if they have a difficult husband is to read that book. It gives you 7 points about how to get your husband to soften his heart, that you can basically get him to do
whatever you
what
want.
you want.
Okay,
And the
so
joke is,
go
there
on.
was one last point. No joke is, even one scholar mentioned it's almost comical. He said, "Women, you don't understand how much power you have over a man." Listen, I'm
Correct.
telling you, sisters, men are fickle. Yeah, listen, men are really fickle. They're really simple, right? I'm gonna tell you a secret. Men are really simple. If you just do a few key things, that's it. It doesn't matter what life is like. It doesn't matter if outside is war. It could be a zombie apocalypse. If just 1, 2 things happen, my man's cool. Yeah, it's just cool. Men are low maintenance. Ismail, I'm not telling the truth.
Yeah, men are low maintenance. This anyway. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
go on. Next question.
And a couple of things need to happen anyway. So, there was a sister who had a hand up, but she's gone. 1 second. Let me go to some.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Who is this?
Zakira. Well, down in Dublin.
It says Zagi. Okay, fadal.
Yeah. I just wanted to say I kind of disagree with the respect side of thing in terms of the boss and the husband. I say you can be obedient and agree with someone and do as they ask, but like the other sister said, the respect definitely has to be earned. You don't. I mean, you're not going to be outwardly disrespectful to your boss or disrespectful to your husband or whoever it may be, but you will discuss with them and let them know that you don't like their attitude or how they're treating you. And that's something you can keep repeating. And if they don't change it, then that's when you would, leave the job, leave the husband or whatever. But having to respect someone that doesn't respect you, I don't fully agree with that.
Okay.
Sorry, I just want to combine that comment from the sister and understand that. I mean, it's come up a few times. Okay, the issue of obedience, the issue of being submissive. We mention it a lot, and it seems like it's a dagger for the sisters. Like it's a demeaning word that brothers say, "I want an obedient husband, I want an obedient wife." Submit. Now, reality is, as men, we don't come into our house and say, "Yeah, a wife, obey me," or be like. That's not the reality of the conversations that men have with their wives. Well, I hope not. Anyway,
some do that. Some do that.
Well, their marriage is not going to last too long, is it? Their marriage is not going to last too long. But the fact that the Quran has given the man a position and a woman a position, if both people understand their position, there's no need for the man to say, obey me, or you need to obey me, you need to be submissive. Like, it seems that the conversation around these words is hard, it's difficult for women to accept.
I think it definitely, sorry. But I
Sorry.
think it definitely comes down to how, like you said, how the man is saying it, because you can't. if you're saying it in a very demanding manner, especially for a lot of sisters in the West and like how we've grown up and stuff, we're not gonna have that, and we're gonna take offense. Like, who are you talking to? Like,
Yeah,
you're
of
not my
course. Yeah.
mum. Because I think when it comes to parents, you have to respect them, because that's someone that basically gave birth to you and raised you, loved you, done everything for you. Now you've got this man in your life who hasn't done anything for you, but he's demanding you cook, demanding you clean, demanding you iron his clothes, demanding you raise the kids, take them to school, pick them up, take them to just to do everything. And then he wants to have attitude and speak to you in a very disrespectful manner, but then you're expected to obey him, be obedient, like, you know, like he says, do as he says and be respectful to him. Then you, as a woman, you are going to get your back up and be like, hold on, you're doing too much. So,
Yes.
like I said, you do by the things that Allah has stated for us to do, we will do, because we want to please Allah. But then having that respect goes out of the window when you have a husband like that, or partly like that. He might do some things, but he doesn't do other things, but still demands the most from you and does it in a disrespectful manner.
Maria, Assalamu alaikum. Are you
Right,
there?
Sam to that. I listen.
The expecting the sorry, 1 second, I'm gonna let some expecting the wife to fulfill her role when the man I won't say is a zalim, he's not fulfilling his, or he is using the leverage Allah has given him to be abusive. What should the man expect back?
I mean, there's an ayah in the Quran where Allah says, لا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم على أن لا تعدلوا اعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى. Don't let the oppression and the shenanigans of other people cause you not to be just. Be just, it is closest to righteousness. So like I said before, if someone's being disrespectful and rude, there are ways in which you can address that without reciprocating the same disrespect and rudeness. Now, if someone chooses to reciprocate that disrespect, or basically give back what he gave to you, if you choose to do so, you're free to do so. But you can't expect any good results to come from it. I mean, if what he did didn't bring any fruits, then why would really retaliate with the same thing, bring the same kind of fruits? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So if you break it down in a real life scenario, okay, the wife, I don't know, the wife didn't cook the dinner, yeah. For example, okay, he comes and say, "Oh, you should. Where's my food? You. This ain't being an obedient wife." Now she gonna say, "Okay, baby." She's gonna be no. She ain't gonna be all submissive. She's gonna say, "Who you talking to?" Do you get what I'm saying? Like, the reality is, the husband's got to come. The husband's got to come with another way of saying, "Yo, baby." Like, he's got to come with a different way. Do you get what I'm saying?
But just the 1 second there. You mentioned, let's play that scenario out. Where's the food? Who are you talking to? What's the next step after that? You get what I'm saying? I mean, if he came with one and she came with the next one,
he's gonna come with something else.
He's gonna have to come with number 2 now, isn't it?
Yes.
If she comes with number 2, then he's gonna have to come with number 3.
Number 3. Yes. Okay.
And when he reaches number 4, you're calling the police now, isn't it?
Okay.
What I'm saying is that you can't expect to diffuse
1 second.
the situation.
1 second, Abu Salama. 1 second. Now, Fadl, Maria, we're talking about diffusing the situation because when the man's come from the angle of you should obey me or you should be obedient, that's the first thing that's going to say. So he got to come with another, and he don't need to come with those words. You get what I'm saying? This is the point, that I think that if men are coming with those words, it's not going to help the situation.
When I was in Saudi, there was one thing I used to love about Saudis. I used to love it. I saw all the time. Like there might be one guy might have done something, cut him up. He gets out his car, he's cussing. Yeah, Kel, Ibn Haram, and
Himar, yeah.
Himar. And the other guy will come out and say, Allahumma salli ala nabi.
Oh yeah.
Allahumma salli ala nabi.
Sallallahu.
They will say salli ala nabi. Now, the guy came out cussing him off, and he replied by saying, "Send salams upon the Prophet." Bruv, that killed the argument. It literally killed the whole argument. The guy had nothing
Got
other than
you.
to say, "It's true. Khalas, let's move on." And I've seen it so many times. Like I even did it once. One person came and had a nonsense, had madness in me. So I smiled at him and I said, "Give me a hug." I hugged him. He was like, "Well," I said, "Bro, cool, let's hug me, just embrace me, just embrace me." And I made like a little joke. I embraced him. Now, two twos in my head, I'm like, this guy deserves a punch. But I figured, let me try this thing. Let me try to try and
Yes.
diffuse it in a way which it worked. And the thing is, it's very difficult to maintain that nonsense behavior where someone's coming to you with the opposite. ادفع بالتي هي أحسن. Allah said in the Quran, it repel with that which is better. And Allah completes it by saying, maybe the one who you're repelling it to might even become your best companion. So I'm saying, we can all say this, yeah, how can you disrespect me? How can you talk about that and blah, blah, blah. But we're here to learn about Islam. We're here to learn about what Islam teaches us. And throughout the whole text of the Quran and Sunnah, we find the same thing over and over again, whereby harshness is repelled with the opposite. We have even the Jew saying to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Assalamu alaikum, may death be upon you," and then Aisha replying back saying, "May death be upon you, you son of donkeys and apes." And what he said to her? "No, Aisha, don't don't reply the same thing." And he just said, "Wa alaikum." He just, at the very least, nothing. Just whatever upon you too. We have even the case of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his neighbor used to put rubbish in front of his house, but when she was sick, he would still visit her. We can't just say we're Muslim and say I follow Quran Sunnah, but when we read these stories, we ignore them. Don't even attempt to apply them in our lives. And we demand that someone treats us right, and we demand this. Nah. If someone treats you badly, Allah has given you an opportunity right there on the plate to get ajr with Allah. Literally, every hardship you have in your life, that is an opportunity on the plate to take it. Look, it's like here is ajr. Just reach out and grab it. Literally. So yeah, it's difficult. But like I said to you, the whole basis of a marriage is a trial. Basis of a life is a trial. Why does anyone believe you're going to have happiness in a marriage? It's insane. No. Marriage is about getting to Jannah. And the only way you get to Jannah is through sabr and hard work. So I do disagree with this fallacy that huquq, that rights have to be earned. No, rights are written in contracts. They have to be fulfilled. If the other person not fulfilling it, you better complain, take him to the hakim, blah, blah, blah. But you don't retaliate with the same nonsense.
Okay, so this is a key point. That in an argument or disagreement, don't reply with the same or worse. You've got to reply with what is better if your aim is to save the marriage. And this is a point where it just, the light bulb moment, we talk about the perfect marriage, the perfect imperfect marriage, where you're gonna bump heads. It's standard. You're gonna bump heads. Who's gonna reply with that which is better? Is the one who's thinking, I want to save this marriage. If someone replies with that which is worse, then you're going in the wrong direction.
I mean, it's like one piece of advice that I gave one person before. I said, there's some issue that they had. I can't remember what it was. It was a while back. And I said to them, is that worth your marriage? Whatever the argument was that they had, that it was a big issue. Something they said, I can't remember what it was. Something they said to them, and I was totally out of order, total disrespect, and how can I stay with that man? I said, okay. I mean, if you want to divorce him, that's fine. But was that event really the end of it? So you really got to, when it comes to these kind of things, you really got to assess your situation, assess your marriage, assess your life. And look, I think at the end of the day, is it really a game? Is it really what's it called? What's the word I use? Not game changer. Not game changer. Is it really deal breaker? Is it really a deal breaker? Is snoring really a deal breaker? Yeah, that's basically what it is, man. I'm going around circles. It's the same. It's just basically got to assess whether the argument is worth it. I mean, even that sometimes I've even tried to apply it in my own marriage. One time, my wife had an argument with me or something, and I said to her, "Okay, but if Allah preserves me long enough, I might be alive till I'm 60 and 70. Do you reckon this is going to be an issue for longer than a couple of minutes? I mean, let's get to the end of the argument and get to the end game. Let's move on. I mean, is it really worth the time and effort you're putting into it? Is it even going to be an issue tomorrow? I mean, sometimes just let it go in it.
Okay. Sorry to cut you.
Last question.
We've got a couple of hands up. We've got two, yeah. So
last two.
Last two questions. Okay, we have Amina. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum salam.
Salam.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that I feel like the issue, I think, kind of, I say it in the right way. I just feel like kind of going back and forth on the same issue. Like the issue sounds like it's to do with communication. Like in theory, obviously, everything we're supposed to follow the Quran and Sunnah for everything. We know this, but in theory, that's in reality, it not always as black and white as that. And there's a lot of components that go into that. So obviously with the institution respect as a start, like when we were speaking about that, I understand your point when you was referring to having and being a parent examples, but if certain times you're in a situation and somebody is showing you disrespect, you still have that respect, but the feeling that you have is not necessarily the same. So like the sister before was trying to point out, I think that when you go into a marriage, no one goes into a marriage with the idea that they're going to end up disrespecting the other party. That happens in situations, and the other party, however they respond, if they don't respond disrespectfully as they're not supposed to, they're not supposed to respond like that. They're supposed to keep their cool. They're supposed to have the sabr. You're supposed to try and maintain that level of respect. It doesn't mean that hasn't affected how you feel about that person going forward. So if that happens multiple times, this is obviously going to become an issue. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't ways to get out of a situation. That again, in theory, those things are there in black and white, but it's not always as simple and as black and white as that.
Yes.
Like I said, in communication, it really is a matter of how the two people communicate. Like when the sister was talking about this word obedience, okay, in words, obedience, disobedience, respect, but it's just about language. It's just about language, and then it's about the action that goes with it. So when you were talking about the how, when you asked how do you understand the verse about the woman coming from the rib, okay, I feel like the same way that you were able to say to the sisters, you need to go and get this book because there's several things that you can do, and you started to bring examples which were very good examples, but I didn't hear none of that in regards to the brothers. I didn't hear any of it. I'm being quite honest, I didn't. And that is the issue, that we can do this back and forward all day, but when it comes to the sisters raising these points, because a lot of the time we will just keep these things and we'll just comment on them between ourselves because we understand what we're saying. But when we bring it forward, then it becomes oversimplified, and it becomes something that, okay, you sister, you have to, maintain stuff. Like I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But there's one thing I want to add to that is that
well done.
I think it was a bit unfair that nothing was mentioned towards the brothers, because that particular book I mentioned, I did actually specifically say, and also brothers should read it as well. It's not just directed towards sisters. It's directed towards both parties. And like I said already, the book highlights how men are and how women are, and about acknowledging each other's characteristics. And I also said that men are very simple and fickle, and that men are easily pleased. So when it comes to and this is my opinion, obviously, when it comes to addressing an issue of marital discord, the most effective way to remove and reduce friction from experience from other people and other kind of stuff is by literally addressing it from that angle, by directing one's advice towards those who have the most power. Now, men have the most physical power. They can do the most things because they have the power to do stuff. But because men are the way they are, very simple, a woman actually has more emotional power over the family. She can actually direct the marriage quite easily, left, right, or the other, if done so in a very simple manner. Very, very simple manner. It's my opinion. You can agree or disagree. It's up to you. But I'm saying that in my experience in helping people in marriage over the last 20 years, I should say, I can say for every one man who has a complaint about his wife, there are 20 sisters who have complaints about their husband. That just highlights what I'm just saying to you. Men are easily pleased. There's not much that needs to be done to rectify our issues. It's usually the other side.
On the contrary, that says to me, I don't know if the other sisters agree, but on the contrary, that says to me that actually it's not the sisters that need to check like how to deal with the brothers. It's the brothers that need to check how to deal with the sisters. I'm sorry, but that's what it sounds like. And you said the statistics yourself from your own experience. You will get more complaints from the sisters about the brothers.
Yeah. I don't get the point. Say again.
So if you're getting more complaints about the brothers,
yeah,
then it sounds like the brothers are the ones that need the advice. It sounds like the brothers are the ones that need the advice on how to deal with the sisters and how to communicate.
Yes, if those complaints that I received were all valid, yes, you're right. That would be a correct assessment. If all the complaints that I received were actually genuine complaints,
but
and
why
actually
would they
real concerns.
Now?
Pardon?
But why would they not be genuine complaints now? Because what you said was from your experience, more of the complaints come from the sisters in regards to the brothers over your experience. So why would they not be valid now?
Okay, so let me give you an example. So if can we acknowledge, sister, that a person may have issue with someone, but generally it isn't an issue? Can we acknowledge that?
Okay, but depends on what.
Hold on. Is it possible?
That's subjective. That is subjective.
Okay, hold on. Okay, let me give one example. Yeah, It's actually happened. So there was a sister who came to the center and she said, "Oh, it wasn't her. It was about her friend." She said, "Oh, brother, her friend, she found out that her husband got married to someone else, second wife. Classic situation. And he was married to her for like 8 months, and she found out he got married, and she wants to know if she can get a divorce and how she can get a divorce and so on and so forth. So I said to her sister, before she found out, how was the marriage? And she said it was fine. So I said, what changed? She said, "Oh, well, what do you mean what changed?" I said, what changed? I mean, now she knows what has changed about the marriage. She said, nothing other than I know. Do you get what I'm saying? So if for those 8 months he was married to someone else, the marriage was still fine, yet she wants a divorce, that shows to me there wasn't really a problem other than what she made a problem.
Okay, so there would be probably more components. I could give you the same scenario with a bit more detail. So, for example,
hold on, sister. I'm not trying to get into a tit for tat. I'm just saying.
Not either, but I'm just giving you the same scenario with a little bit more detail. Just the fact that the sister would have probably known that the husband wants to get married and simply asked that, "Can you actually tell me when you're getting married?" And they didn't. Now that is a communication issue.
But again, sister, hold on, sister. Again, it's the same issue. Can you tell me if you want to get married? Okay, but if he doesn't, is it generally a problem?
It is a problem because
no, it is a problem for you.
You can't say that it's not a problem. Exactly.
Yeah,
so if I'm the sister that's complaining about it, then it's
actually a problem though?
No, but
Go on.
That's not the point, though. You can't dismiss how some. It's like saying, it's like, again, this is the thing. Yeah, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriages, when it comes to communication, you can't tell somebody that okay, you're upset about something. Oh yeah, but you don't need to be upset about it. It's not that deep. That's not fair, because the person's upset about it. And I could be saying this to my husband. Why are you getting upset about something like?
Hold on, sister. I never said don't be upset about it. I'm saying, is there a reason to get divorced over it?
It's not necessarily a reason to get divorced by itself, but there must be other components. I'm not justifying that. I'm just saying to you, I know that scenario myself. I know it from a couple of different people. So the situation is not exactly the same, but there's variances. There's going to be nuances. There's always going to be different nuances. There's always going to be other factors.
Sister, I'm not getting into the nuances. We're now just discussing about my statement. I'm saying is that not every complaint that came to me was a genuine complaint. Shar'an, Islamically speaking, is not a genuine complaint to actually be made. So, for example, if I know a brother who had a big issue with his wife not making the roti in a circle. It wasn't circular enough. It's all odd shapes. Now, sister, is that a genuine complaint? Really, be honest. Is that a genuine complaint?
It's not a genuine complaint.
But why are you dismissing the brother? If the brother likes the round roti, innit? Why are you dismissing it wants the round roti?
But that's not the same. You can't compare that to marriage.
No, but sister, you can't dismiss his feelings. He really wants a round roti.
You can't compare that a roti being round. You can't compare that to
why not?
knowing a whole other person
but why
and not telling the person about it. You can't.
But why not? You can't dismiss his feelings. You said.
You
Okay.
can't.
Okay.
You can't dismiss his feelings. The man's really passionate about his roti, innit?
No, come on, man. You can't.
No, sister. No, but hold on. But now you're agreeing with me now. Now you're agreeing with me by saying there are certain complaints that you do feel is important. It is important to you, but in the grand scheme of things, it isn't that important. I do agree that you grew up, your mum making the most perfect roti you have ever had. I do acknowledge that you really want a wife who basically is your mum, does everything your mum wants. I do know that you feel that way, but in the grand scheme of things, you've got a nice, respectable wife. She looks after your kids. She's a good wife to you. She protects her chastity. She protects herself for you. Is the round roti really a big issue, brother? No, it's not a big issue. I know you think it's an issue, but it really isn't a big issue. Same thing with the brother who had an issue with the wife being too short. Yeah, she might not be as tall, but she never made herself. She never created herself. So in the grand scheme of things, she's a good wife. She's a good mother. She's a good companion. Get over the height issue. You get what I'm saying, sister? I'm not saying.
I hear what you're saying.
I'm not saying that sisters don't feel a way about whatever husband's doing. All I'm saying is, in the grand scheme of things, not everything that is complained about is actually something that is a deal breaker.
Okay. But my point in the beginning was just simply that the communication is the issue. Like, I don't feel like people actually communicate things properly to each other. So, for example, I feel like certain times people don't actually ask the right questions. I'm talking about not before the marriage, not before they get married, just in the marriage. Like, you're not actually people aren't asking questions for clarity. And that's the reason why we end up in problems in the first place. Like, we don't actually communicate certain things to each other properly. And that's the reason why the arguments build up or resentment builds up, because you're building.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? You know how many brothers actually just don't want to communicate? Do you see that's another thing as well. What happens if your husband is not the communicating type?
Yeah, but then what? How can you have a healthy?
How can you solve the situation?
But that's the thing. But you get it. That's what I'm trying to get at. Maybe your husband actually isn't a communicating type of person, and maybe that's just something you're just gonna have to work around. Just like you might be the person you are a communicator. You want to share your feelings and want to do this. And maybe that's how you are, and you want your husband to adopt you for the way you are. Maybe he just wants peace and quiet. Maybe you want to talk. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying this is the whole discussion. The whole discussion here is what's the perfect person. The point is there is no perfect person. Some people communicate, and some people just don't. Some people want to come home and chill. If they talk about nice things. If not nice things, they don't say anything, and that's just them. So is that really
laughing at the comments because someone just said if he wants peace, he has to communicate that. It's true. Like,
okay.
know, like, like there's certain things that you're not going to be psychic about, innit? Like, I can't read your mind. That's the point of when I say communication, I'm not saying we want to sit down here and have like a 5-hour conversation with you every night. That's not the point. I want to have peace and quiet as well. I've got 3 kids here. I don't really want to have everybody in my ears every minute of the day. So that's fine. That's valid. Everybody has their things. Everybody has their characteristics. Everybody has their, but when it comes to important things in a marriage, such as something that might potentially cause us to get divorced, we need to have a conversation. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. So
And
therefore, sister,
sometimes
the conclusion is read that book and find out how to communicate in an effective manner.
We got to come to end. Jazakallah khairan, sister, for your contribution.
Go for it. There was one more question, I think, wasn't it, or is that one gone?
You have time, Sheikh, for one more.
There's one last one. It's the last thing.
Let's try and get Zainab. We're gonna, after the last one, we're gonna summarize. So we've got to summarize and come to a conclusion and things. So I'm gonna try and get Zainab Aman. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Welcome, sister.
Well done. Everyone doing very good, mashallah.
We're trying, sister. We're trying.
Yeah, inshallah. I wouldn't use the word obedient.
Obedient.
Is that the right word? Yeah.
Yes.
But I could say communication. We have to have communication. We have to have boundary, married boundary. We have to have men and the husband and the wife to become in the same level, maybe to look after their married and then children as well. Give time to each other. If there is no time to each other as well, it is not good for the married couple. That's why I'm thinking. You do not even men you do not bring your outside problem to the house. If anything happen outside, at least when you open your door to come to your home, please, maybe that will be the problem. If the woman say, because the woman normally we talk, women say, men are keeping inside all the things. They don't express themselves quickly to say what happened. That's why always they blame maybe women. So as well, men have their duty as well. If your wife, in the Quran, if a woman serve the husband going to Jannah, so you help your wife as well to go Jannah. The man have responsible as well for that, because the woman maybe have a lot of responsibility, maybe looking after the husband, looking after the house, looking after the children. It's not easy. So the husband as well have to try very hard to help the woman to go Jannah by doing a lot of help. If the woman, like you mentioned, someone mentioned before, if the woman didn't cook, the husband come and ask, where is my food? Is that the right way to say when you come home, if the woman didn't cook? Is it the best word maybe to use to say, what is my food? Or to ask, okay, maybe there is something to eat? Is it a good way as well? The man have to say the word. Okay, did you cook? Can we put the food in the table? If the woman didn't cook, ask her first why she didn't cook. So maybe maybe she cook already the food already. Something happened. Maybe the food is ruined. Maybe at the last minute, maybe something happened to the food. You don't know. You was outside. So it is my opinion anyway. But ask why not food at home? If she tell you because this happened, why not? We are in easy way life. We are living in England. Bring takeaway, make it easy for the both of you. Then discuss. You have to have communication. This is what happened. We don't, that's why it's problem build all the time, because there is less communication, lack of communication. And instead you telling your wife, okay, you was not smiling. Yesterday he was, he wasn't happy. I saw what happened. Bring flower for her. And woman heart is like an egg. It's very, it's not egg, maybe the other word is soft, like a sponge. Because if the man treat a woman nicely, he understand what she's doing to look after the house and the children. I'm sure the women are most women. I'm not saying everyone, but most women are getting easy. But communication as well. We have to have communication. We have to say maybe once in a week, once in 2 weeks. Let us sit down, talk. Put the children in bed and early, and then you come early home. Talk to your wife. If anything happened she didn't like or you don't like, discuss in a good manner, not in front of the children. Make sure both of you're sitting in the sitting room, sitting together, and then try to say, like, how can I say the word? Try to say yourself, even if my wife angry with me, inshallah, Allah help me then to hold myself. You as well as the woman say the same thing. Before you go to work in the morning, make sure the wife, make sure she smile before you go to work. Then that smile make her, when you come back, she will remember that in her mind. She said, my husband make good thing, he gave me good word, and then he make me smile, make it easy for me. Inshallah, when he come home as well, I'm going to do the same. I'm sure she's going to think like this. So communication, both of us, we have to work very hard. Don't let women as well to make difficult. Then if she doing something wrong, you the one you pushing her to do something wrong. Maybe she's, we don't go Jannah because of that. So please help each other, have communication, give time to each other, and then it's not big thing. Even if she doesn't clean the house, help her. Maybe okay, let me help you. Let me help you today. Maybe you have difficulty to clean the house. Is she not cooking every day? I'm sure she cooking every day. One day she didn't cook, that wasn't a problem. Even one day she didn't clean the house, you have to understand why she didn't cook. Maybe it was difficult, he was at work, maybe something happened at home. Okay, then doesn't matter, let us do something small things. And that way we have to build the Muslim marriage is always sometimes has problem, because Allah in the Quran make it easy for us, make it easy to live good life. But as a parent, we have to think about our children as well. We the one, we bring them in the world. Allah give us children, so how we going to look after them? Don't think about me and you, think about impact of the children as well. So sorry, maybe I talk too much.
No problem.
No, that was very beneficial.
Thank you very much. I think next time I will add something.
Okay, listen. Brother AR Sense has been, his hand up has been for a long time, but I'm trying to unmute him, but it's not. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Brother, make it quick. We're gonna wrap up. So Faddal Sheikh, Faddal, go on.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam to the
Yeah, I feel like there's a big problem here. Like, obviously, like I said before, previously in another talk, marriage is a network, let's say. It's two people joining, to fulfill a common goal. So within that common goal, we have to be able to communicate. I've heard a lot of, obviously for the sister side, I understand where they're coming from in terms of the talk about obedience or being disobedient. For me personally, for me, I don't believe that I should be telling my wife if she's obedient or she's being disobedient or whatever, because how I see that, me personally, I see it as like a pick me thing, like she's a child. Like, I don't need to be talking down to my wife to be talking about you're being disobedient and all that. That's what I say to my children. So my woman shouldn't be getting that. That's the first point of call. So brothers need to really think about what they're really saying to their women, because this is your wife, It's ain't no just look a gal on road and this is your wife. So talking about you're being disobedient, etc. me personally, I don't think that's the right way to be dealing with things. So first off, that communication is dead. It's not the way to be going forth. Yeah. Then on top of that, for a man to be coming to his wife and be talking about, "Raw, you're being disobedient and this and that," he's coming with an awful lot of energy. So you see, when you're coming with that sort of energy, you got to be up here, my brother. My brother, you got to be up here. So that means in terms of the household, you're doing what you need to be doing. In terms of your wife, you're doing what you need to be doing. If you're falling short, bro, don't come with that big energy, yeah, and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, because it doesn't denote it. Yeah, you're talking wicked, like, "Raw, you're being disobedient and rare. But how many things are you falling short on? Do you see where I'm coming from? So I feel like it's got to be a balance. You can't just be talking about this and that, and then we're not. You get me? Like, so obviously there's plenty of things I've heard you say in terms of, like, say for instance, a man getting a second wife, yeah, and he's got his wife, he never told her, and then she's come in and she spazzed out like, "Raw, da, 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 da." She has a right to. Like, obviously, I understand what brothers is saying. Like, I don't know in terms of the deen if you can just go and marry and do your thing and whatever and blah, blah, blah. That's cool. You can do so. Yeah. But there's always going to be consequences for your actions, bro. Yeah. Man's got to understand, yeah, you're in a relationship with somebody else. Yeah. If your wife picked up your money and went and done a mad thing with your money, yeah, and bought something highly expensive, you'll be upset. Yeah. So let's think about it on the flip side. You have now brought somebody else into your relationship without telling your wife that this person is here, and you expect them not to be upset. Seriously, brothers, if this is how we're moving forward, then this is the reason why our community is going to be a shambles. Yeah, this is why, because we can't be moving like we don't have a partner, a spouse, somebody that we should be turning to. Like, for me personally, if I'm going to do anything in my lifestyle, yeah, or in my life, the first point of call is Allah. The second point of call, I'm going to ask a local advice from my spouse. Because this is the person within my house. I'm going to ask them, what do you think about this and blah, blah, blah. That's my first point of call. Then after that, I'll ask some brothers or whatever and blah, 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 like that. Do you see where I'm coming from? So something as deep as getting a second wife and bringing them into your because that's what you're doing. You're bringing them into your family. Yeah. Even though I understand it's going to be two separate entities and blah, blah, blah. It's all one family though. Do you see where I'm coming from? So we got to learn how to deal with these things here. Yeah. Listen, for real, I just believe that everyone needs to hold down their part. Yeah. Because me as a husband, if I'm doing what I need to be doing, I don't need to be telling my wife what she needs to be doing, because she's going to be doing that anyway. Yeah. And then also it's a thing like, if you're going to be telling her about, okay, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, it's about the communication and how you're putting these things. It's like what you said, yeah, men are very easily pleased. Yeah. And this is the reality of the situation. But also men are very simple in terms of, and I always say this, and I'm not trying to knock nobody, yeah, but man, understand where I'm coming from. I always say, yeah, there's a level I'm a black man, so I'm talking about my community, innit? Yeah, because that's what I know. In my community, yeah, there's the non-Muslim black man, yeah, and he's here. But do you know what I always say? You see the Muslim black man, he's down here. And the reason why I say that, you see, the bummy non-Muslim man, he can always do haram. Yeah. So he's always doing something at least. Yeah. Now, the problem with the Muslim man is that he is so relaxed and comfortable with doing nothing. Do you see where I'm coming from? Obviously, we can't do haram, but you're doing nothing. You're doing the bare minimum and relaxed and happy, but then want to talk about you want not like 1,000 wives, because we know it's haram, but you want multiple wives and blah, blah, blah. But what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, are you a man that's even taking care of your household, like spreading the deen within your household, teaching your youths every day and blah, blah, blah? Like, are you helping out like what the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to do, like with his wives? Are you helping out in the household? Like Abdul Wahid did say, obviously everyone has their roles, yeah, but you can also help out, yeah, and it goes for men and women. But the reason why I'm focusing on the men is because I hear it all the time. And there is always a time, there's always a reason for a woman to talk about a man. Yeah. And listen, let's be real. Sometimes the sisters, I believe, are, it might be some things is nitpicking, blah, blah, blah. But the reason why they are nitpicking is because there's so many things that man hasn't been doing for a long period of time. And man's telling them to have sabr, sister, have sabr, you know? Like, how long can you have sabr? Like, how long is a man going to tell you, shut up in your face before you knock him out? Do you see where I'm coming from? So just because it's a different scenario and she's in her house, you can't really tell her to have sabr and then believe that she's not going to nitpick on smaller things. It's a build-up. It's a build-up. But listen, like you said, it's a late night. I've just come in from work. I just thought I'd get part there, and I'm gone on that note. Salaam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Okay.
Ismail, sorry.
Yes, Abdul Hamid. Faddal.
Yeah, just to cut you. Can we have Ismail Hamza or Sheikh to give us some as well, Baba, please? Can you bring him on it?
1 second. You know what? We've been there for 2 hours. I need to summarize this thing now with Muawiyah to let him go because he's a busy man. So I'm not going to let anyone come on now. I just need to summarize what we've heard. There may be some misunderstandings, but I'm just going to deal with Muawiyah now, and then we're going to cut because we've been there for 2 hours now. Yeah. So, Assalamu alaikum, Muawiyah. A lot has been said. Emotions been up and down. I tell you what I hear. Now you mentioned a point which I think the sister didn't like, is about complaints from sisters. Many complaints from sisters. And I'm married and I've got daughters, and I hear many complaints about men. Right? Either, as the brother AR Sense was mentioning, that the menem is whatless. Right? Either the menem is whatless, not fulfilling their roles, or the sisters are complaining about things that they shouldn't be complaining about. Either the menem is whatless, because there's complaints. If you look at, listen, there's 99 on the chat right now, right? And I've got lists of complaints, right? So you're in a position as an imam, a Medina graduate, you deal with issues of marriage, maybe on a daily or weekly basis, okay? Where is the balance? The menem is whatless, or the sisters are complaining about things that they should not be complaining about? That's one. Just come with something.
Yeah, so the problem with anything I say is that what people want to do is that they're going to take what I say as a generic statement and apply it to their specific situation and say, oh, this is not right because I know this person and I know that person. This never happened with me and that's not happened with me. And this is
okay. One second. Some sister said I could have worded it differently, right? But the reality is, one man come and said the brother them is whatless. Then they're allowing their sisters to complain because they're not fulfilling their duty. And on the other side, we know, as you said, you run a madrasa, people call you up, you're hearing the complaints, you've recorded the complaints. So what is the reality, Sheikh? Fadal.
So again, like I said, it's one of those situations where there's no answer that's going to please everyone, which is not, I'm not here to please anyone anyway, but that's just how it is. But just to explain that my statement that women complain a lot more than men do overall, and the sister replied back saying, what does that say to you? No, I'm not condescending, I'm just saying that's what she said. Now, what I said isn't something unique to me. That's not something I just came out of nowhere. There's a hadith which says that. that the majority of women in hellfire are women for the sheer purpose of not acknowledging what the husband's did. What the husband does one thing wrong, they say he's never done anything good for me. Now, if the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that about the majority of people in hellfire being women, and the reason being the shakwa, the complaining, and not acknowledging what the husband does, then I don't see why it's fair that everyone starts ganging up on me saying, "Oh, why are you always targeting the sisters, not the brothers?" It's a hadith, man. I'm not chatting rubbish. It's a hadith. Unless you want to say this hadith is the meaning of it is not what the obvious meaning says. It said the majority of people in hellfire are women because when the husband does something wrong, they say he has not done any good for them. That is the reason. So the sister said maybe the husband's not doing. Maybe the problem is the husband. That's why they're complaining so much. Well, if that were the case, then the hadith would have said the men would be in majority of hellfire because they're not giving the women their hukuk. But that wasn't what was said. It was specifically mentioned that when he does one thing wrong, that seems to wipe off everything else he does. And this is what I'm trying to get to the message across. I'm saying that whatever issue that you have with your husband, and I guess it also apply with your wife. My statement actually wasn't. Our whole discussion wasn't about women against men. But when we were speaking in the beginning, it was about people, husband and wife, man and woman. It manifested as it usually does, that people start talking about women or get men, but it's actually everyone. What I'm saying is whatever you have as an issue about the other person, the other spouse, male or female, is it really that important? That was the whole point of our discussion. Our discussion was, is there a perfect marriage? No, because no one is perfect. You're always going to have a problem. So to get that balance in your marriage is about acknowledging, recognizing, and dealing with the other person's imperfections. Yes. That's our discussion. So, and just to reply to a bit of a straw man, which happened earlier on, me mentioning the example of a sister whose husband married someone else. My point wasn't that she had no reason to be upset. My point is that she had no reason to get divorced. That's a big difference. Being upset doesn't mean get divorced. Of course you'll be upset with your husband. Of course you'll be upset with your wife. That happens all day long, all the time. I'm sure my wife upset me right now because I'm here for 2 hours. I
know. My apologies.
I'm sure that's happening right now.
Yes.
I can feel the tension downstairs. But my point is, being upset is one thing. Ending the marriage over it is a completely different thing. And that was what I was targeting. My point was, you might be upset about something, but how far and how important is that thing, and where did that thing lead you to? And if someone's saying to you, "Oh, where's my food, man? I'm hungry. Why is there no food?" If that is enough to irritate you to the point whereby you're contemplating divorce, then I think that's a problem, because being an idiot for the day or for a moment isn't a deal breaker. Even if he's consistently an idiot, you can still work on it. You can. I mean, there are people out there who have issues with their attitude. They're always moaning and that kind of stuff. They get counselling. That's what it counseling. They try to fix themselves. It can be fixed. So
I mean, one thing which I think we're gonna discuss here is over the issues that we have in the home. Are we rushing too quick for divorce? That's one thing. And whenever our partners do something wrong, do we reply with that which is better, or do we reply with that which is worse?
So on that as well, a good point to mention is that when I replied about replying that which is better, I didn't mean to imply that the initial malice was justified. I was just saying, how do you diffuse that nonsense? Now, obviously, how does treat his wife with respect and be nice to her and not speak to her with malice? But if it does happen, what do you do next? That was my point. My point wasn't that, oh yeah, because he did it, he's a man, he's all right, he can do it. I'm saying, if it does happen though, how do you address that? And if you were to ask me, if a woman's being rude to her husband, what should he do? Then I'll be speaking about that describe and saying, yeah, what you should do is not replying with that which is worse. Don't say, yeah, yes. Woman, tump. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying yes. You deal with things in a way which is better. It goes both ways. So like I said, it's Anyway, back to the point. You asked a specific question, and the answer is any marriage, especially at the beginning, it's all about learning how to adapt to the other person, learning how to do what pleases them, learning how to communicate your information to them in a manner which is useful, which is why I said to everyone, read that book. Both man and woman, read that book. Learn how to communicate, learn how to deliver. And you'd be surprised that you can actually communicate what you want without even speaking. This is what I'm saying. It's possible to communicate what you want without even speaking. And it's also possible, which is I didn't get time to say earlier on, it's also possible that maybe the reason why one party may not want to communicate is because whenever they do, it goes wrong. Maybe every time one tries to communicate, it ends in an argument. And if we have to go into address it a different way. So my point is you have to learn how to communicate, even if it's about speech. I think there was one point in that book which is really, really amazing. She said, one way to deal with your husband, if he's really being malicious, she said that one thing she tells her women, she said, look, just say the word ouch. If he's saying, woman, what's wrong with you, man? Your armpits stink. If you just said ouch, it sounds silly, but all she's doing is communicating that what he said hurt without hurting him back. He's gonna have to think to himself, okay, look, she just said ouch. She's just expressed that I hurt her. What am I gonna do? Do it again? I mean, it's not. It doesn't. You've communicated something by literally not even a word, just a sound. Ouch. So, like I said, I will leave it at that, inshallah. I highly, highly advise everyone to read that book. I know 99% of people won't read it. They say, yeah, it's a good book. They might even buy it, but people don't really ever read it unless the marriage really reaches that peak moment. They have to read it.
Yeah, they have to read it. Yeah.
But it's just about, like I said, it's just about acknowledging you don't know, acknowledging you need to learn, and make an effort to learn. Those three things: acknowledge that you don't know, acknowledge that you need to learn, and acknowledge and actually make effort to learn.
What was the name of the book again? What's the name of the book?
Empowered Wife.
Empowered Wife. Sheikh, I'm gonna let you go. Jazakallah for your time. Sorry that it went on so long, but mashallah is very, very beneficial. And we hope to speak to you again. We might have to actually talk about the issue of divorce and how to stop the divorce and that, but that's for another day. But yeah, Jazakallah has been very, very, very beneficial. Oh,
Laura Doyle is the name of the author. Laura Doyle.
Yes.
iBookstore. Well worth a read. It's very entertaining as well. It's great. For both man and woman, especially man, because it shows men that sometimes where they behave isn't abnormal. We're just different, man.
Yeah. Okay,
No
in summary, just to the people who have been here, this is our third talk on the issue of marriage. It is a very deep topic. It is about understanding each other. It is about communication. It is about men trying to feel.
One last thing to say,
Fadl Sheikh.
Just to say to everyone, please, people, do not feel shy to get to speak to someone about marriage. Get someone to speak to your husband about marriage. There are many people out there. There's A.W. Sharif and Abdul Wahid and all that kind of stuff. You can get to reach out to them. Say, my husband's difficult, my wife is difficult. I need a third party to speak to me, speak to them. And you'll be surprised that this could be a very important avenue to rectifying and helping both of you, reach your common ground. And sometimes it could be just something as simple as having someone to vent your feelings to. That could be just it. Maybe all you need really is just to express
how
wrong you feel, and then you can move on. Sometimes you just need that. So yeah.
Excellent. Okay, we're gonna come to the end. I mean, one thing I would say is also about the conversation that the sisters and the brothers are having. It's needed. People need to speak about how they feel. Is there an imbalance in the community? Are the brothers then whatless? Are the sisters complaining too much? What is the reality? We need to get to the nitty-gritty in order to make our marriages strong, and we shouldn't be afraid of these conversations. The main thing is that we listen, we understand, and we learn, and we all develop. And I think that's the end. I've gone. Let everyone go now. So inshallah, we see you next week Wednesday.